Hello, welcome, good evening. Welcome to India Voice Fest 2020, the online edition. आज है 5वां दिन यानी डे 5 ऑफ दिस 7-day एक्स्ट्रावेगेंजा और हमने बड़े मजे के सेशंस आज सुने, देखे, एक्सपीरियंस किए और अब हमारे साथ हैं एक बहुत ही खास मेहमान सीधे अमेरिका से, कैलिफोर्निया से। ये एक अवार्ड विनिंग अमेरिकन वॉइस टैलेंट हैं और स्पीकर हैं, कोच हैं और डेमो प्रोड्यूसर हैं और हमारा सौभाग्य है कि आज हम इनके साथ हैं। आइए इनको पहले ज्वाइन कराते हैं। इनका नाम है एन गैंगुजा। लेट्स वेलकम on screen India Voice Fest 2020 our international voice star Anne Ganguzza.
Wow, thank you so much for that lovely
Good
introduction.
morning,
Yes,
and
good morning.
let me at the onset, let me take this opportunity first to apologize to you. It is 6:30 in the morning.
It is early.
Why would you do this? This is pure love. This is pure love for India because it's amazing. I was almost in two minds. I thought you will insist on a pre-recorded interview, but look at this. You replied saying that no, I want to do it live.
That's so interesting that you bring it up. I do a lot of events myself, and I have done pre-recorded events and I've done live events. And I just think that it's so much better for the audience, especially when, we're learning from one another and sharing to really, if we could have a live interaction. And, being a global voiceover artist, we have to be used to working at all different hours and being ready for our clients. So it made sense. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much.
So you've given us the first lesson of our interaction, the first lesson from Anne Ganguzza. You are a star voiceover talent. You are an award-winning voiceover talent, someone of great reputation, someone up there in the United States of America, in the voicing fraternity, and you telling us that it doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is, I aim to please and to serve my clients in the best possible manner. So this is a great lesson of humility, of your passion towards what you do, and we're so proud of this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've been in the business for a while now, and it's just, lessons learned, and it's really about serving your client and serving people and being able to really, bring your art to life. It's such an honor to be able to be a voice on behalf of a company or on behalf of, a piece of entertainment. And it really, I'm humbled to be able to do this for a living, and so proud and so happy to be able to do this, that, I do what it takes.
How lovely. You're making people fall in love with you because you're hitting the ball out of the park from the word go. So you are spelling humility, commitment, dedication, and these are the hallmarks of a great voice talent. And before we get into learning a lot more from you, let me tell you a little bit about the event. You obviously know about it because we've discussed this on emails. But India Voice Fest is India's first and only voice industry conference and awards platform. Now, India is obviously a huge country, and you would obviously know that we are a country that runs on entertainment and media and content. So, India has a huge voice industry that includes localized content, which is dubbing into multiple Indian languages, which includes a huge market for corporate audiovisuals, radio, television channel voiceovers, and what have you. So it's huge, and this is the only platform. In fact, this time we've had more than 5,000 people who've registered to attend the event online from all over India.
That's incredible. I mean, I think that I've always been a proponent of online activities and learning and resources. I started a group called the VO Peeps about 10 years ago. And back then, streaming live on the internet was just starting. And so I can appreciate just what it takes to put on a voice conference for 7 days and to arrange for interviews and workshops and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely have a lot of respect for that and know how it can be so difficult. And as a matter of fact, when we were doing our sound test, I know exactly every time I have a guest on, we're like, got to make sure that technology is working. But technology is a wonderful, amazing thing, and it connects us all together, which is what I love. I mean, I've always been about connecting people together through technology, and voiceover is just a part of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so since we spoke about the conference, you are from the California region, the western region of America, which in many ways is the hub of the entertainment industry and also the hub of the voice acting fraternity. So why don't you? And also you have a lot of conferences and VO meetups happening there, which isn't very common here. So why don't you tell us a bit about that culture in your part of the world?
Oh, absolutely. So I originally was from New York State, and so New York is also a large market area for voiceover, and then
Mhm.
moved to California about 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago, and another large market for the voiceover industry. And a lot of what determines the size of the market in the area is studios that are around and available. And like, for example, in New York, there was, a lot of studios in New York City, in California, a ton of studios around Los Angeles, and a lot of them having the technology to do amazing things like animation and dubbing, and they have the technology, and that's why they are kind of hubs of voiceover, because they encompass all types of voiceover. And gosh, now I'm going to date myself, but when voiceover became more popular and home studios became more popular, then you could be a voice actor from anywhere, and that was kind of a beautiful thing. And the technology, like the streaming, like we're doing here, like Zoom and ISDN in our country, which is able to really quality connect studios and and voice artists together, really kind of expanded the market for voiceover and really grew it exponentially. So it's still huge here, especially because the studios are well equipped for motion capture, for animation, and television studios for promos and all of that. And now, since the pandemic, we've all kind of had to hunker down in our home studios and really up our game on the quality of what's coming out of our home studios. And for most of us that have been in the business for a while, that's kind of been the way, we've always had to make sure that we had great audio coming out of our home studios. And, I also go to studios too, if it's required of me. Some clients prefer to work with the voice talent in a professional studio because
Correct.
all we want to worry about is our performance and not necessarily the technical part of things, which if we're in a home studio, we're engineers, we're voice talent, we're, customer service, we're doing everything. But if a talent can just walk into a studio, that really, I think makes the client feel better in a lot of ways because we're just focused on one thing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and in the United States, you've always had a culture of home studios and and an attitude where voice artists are pretty open to investing in a good home studio setup, in a good sound booth or good equipment, and we've not really had that in India. We've had a culture where predominantly artists have always gone to studios, but I think the pandemic changed it all, and overnight we had everyone rushing in to have their own home studio in March and April. And today we are in a scenario where every other voice artist of repute or every other voice artist has a decent home setup. So that way, I think we've adapted very well.
Yeah. And I think adapted is a key word here for, changing through the pandemic. I think it's important for anybody that's doing voiceover to be able to evolve with the times and evolve with the technology as well. And that's not to say that our studios aren't needed. I always feel so bad for any businesses that might suffer during a pandemic like this, but there's nobody that can replace a great engineer and a great studio. It's difficult sometimes for home talent to actually create a studio that is going to get them quality audio. And it is an investment, and not everybody understands that, and not everybody's prepared for that.
Absolutely. I think that's very well put, that studios are not really dispensable. We need them. We need great studios. We need great engineers.
Yeah.
And there's a certain magic. There's a certain romance of being in a lovely studio. So I get that. Absolutely.
It's a luxury, actually. And I actually love to go into studios to do voiceover because I don't have to worry about everything else, the technology, the customer service, okay, let me save this, let's do playback. And it's just such a luxury to be directed too, because the other aspect of being in a home studio is that a lot of times you're self-directing yourself. So.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and after a point of time, it gets to you because you want to be pampered. You want to be in a voice booth and an engineer in the control room guiding you. So I get that. And why don't you take us through your journey of becoming a voice talent and some. So yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, okay, so I've had a few different careers, but my degree is in computer graphics engineering. And when I started off after college, I worked as a engineer for an orthopedic company designing hip and knee prosthetics. Okay. So that kind of got my interest, by the way, in medical narration, because I do that today. Right. And I love the creativeness of it. Again, I think if we really look back at how at least for me, how I've grown up and how I've evolved, it all has an element of creativity, which is why voiceover is just so well suited, and why I love it so much. So there's that element of creativity. And after I worked at as a design engineer, I met my to-be boss for the next 20 years at a computer training course. And he said to me, "Hey, I really need someone to teach this computer class. Would you be interested?" And I thought, "Oh, okay. Well, I haven't really taught before." And this was so long ago. But I said, "It sounds like fun. I'll do it. And I'm very passionate about what I love, and I love to share. And so it worked out really well. And I have to say that I probably, education and teaching is probably one of my highest callings. And I did that for about 20 years. And during the course of that, not only did I teach, but I was on the tech staff. So I was able to play around with some really great groundbreaking technology. Like we were very early in working with virtual reality, with 3D printing back in the 90s. And so we also were very groundbreaking in our school for voice over IP. So back in the day, I used to install voice over IP phone systems. And so when that happened, I would be the project manager and I would just finish the install and say, okay, you guys are all set. You have, 300 phones installed and you just need to record your welcome greeting and the, that menu tree. And they would be like, oh no, you're going to do that. So by default, I was the person who recorded, thank you for calling, and so it was just one of those things where I recorded thousands of messages. And that thus began my love affair with voiceover, because so many people said, oh, you sound so professional. And so I kind of did my due diligence and looked into it and, started training and started, working on a demo and then working part-time in the industry, which is super difficult because there's so many things you have to do to kind of get yourself up and running. But I did that for a while. And then after, probably I want to say 3 years, I decided to go full-time into voiceover.
So that's a pretty organic way of entering into the industry. You didn't really just dive in. You spent your time in all areas, and you also got into it part-time. That's lovely. So since you spoke about your boss, what's the story behind VoBoss? So everyone who's watching and listening, and runs an amazing podcast. You got to check it out. VoBoss, one of the most amazing podcasts around voice acting in the voice industry. It's called VoBoss. So what's with VoBoss, Anne?
Well, okay. So VoBoss was a passion project for me, something to give back to the community. I consider myself a little bit of a scholar or a geek, you might call me, about the business of voiceover, because as well as the creative challenge of voiceover and being able to embody, the brand of a company or a character. I really truly love the whole business of it. To me, it's kind of a great challenge, and it's a great game. So I really kind of like on the side spent a lot of time working on my marketing, working on the business of voiceover, and I wanted to share that. And so this is going on just about my 4th year of the VoBoss podcast. And every week it is a commitment. I will tell you, most people that think podcasts are easy. And if you've done a podcast, you know that it's a labor of love, because the podcast is the easiest thing that I do. Actually, getting it out and promoting it and putting it on the website and doing all that other stuff, getting the editors and that is also a very much a passion project. But it is something that I do to give back to the community. And I love doing
lovely.
it.
That's so nice. Every Tuesday, if I'm not wrong,
yes.
Anne?
Yes.
Every Tuesday she has a podcast out, and podcast is absolutely a labor of love. Just the other day, and we had a session at India Voice Fest on podcasts and how voice artists can leverage podcasts, even to market their own talent. And what you are doing is amazing. You are, in a way, featuring the industry, featuring people who matter, featuring education, or rather, imparting education through this podcast. So which is amazing. And
I want to just point out, if you don't mind, that what's really interesting, or what's really a great side effect of the podcast, is that people know you. For example, you knew about my podcast, and I didn't have any idea, but I have people all the time that call me up and say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the podcast, or, oh, I'm talking to Anne Ganguzza, and I'm like, I'm right here. And so it's really a way also for promotion of your own voiceover service, because people get to know you and they get to like you. And it's not even about like, oh, my voice is so great on the podcast. It's all about, connecting with somebody else and saying, you know what, that person, I really want to work with that person. They look really cool. I want she seems like she'd be a great person to work with, or, and so it's a really wonderful way to promote yourself. And as the bonus side effect is clients. So.
Absolutely. This is exactly what we spoke the other day, that and you put it out so well, that this is a great way for people to know you. So even and your podcast can be about anything. So whatever you like. So absolutely, that's amazing. So Anne, you're also a trainer. Anne is a coach. Anne is also a demo producer, and obviously she's an award-winning voice talent. Before we move ahead, Anne, do you have a signature opening for VoBoss? Is there a signature opening style that you use when you begin the podcast?
Yeah,
do you have that? If you have that, let's hear that.
Oh, Welcome to the VoBoss podcast. I'm your host, Anne Ganguzza.
How lovely! There's a nice ring to it. Just very nice. I love that. So, Anne, you're also a trainer, and so how important do you think that's a very important question. I think a lot of people have that question. Is voice acting a craft that has to be inborn, or you've got to have it as a gift, or can you acquire it? So as a trainer, how relevant do you think, or how important do you think is training to be a voice actor?
I think training in anything is important, being an educator. So I think that unless I can't understand you when you speak, if there's some sort of of an issue that I can't understand, you can't speak clearly, maybe there's something physically going on there. I think that anybody can learn to become a voice actor. It helps, yes, to have a pretty voice or a nice sounding voice, but the reality of it is when we first meet people and we listen to their voice for like the first minute, we're like, oh, I love that voice. It's, got a beautiful resonance, or it's got a beautiful rasp, or I love the tenor of it. And then after that, all we really care about is what the other person is saying. And so like it can be an amazing voice and it can be maybe not such an amazing voice, but if it's not engaging and it's not connecting with our heartstrings and with our emotions, then it becomes almost like white noise. And so I think it's just so important for people to train to be able to bring the words on the page, and it's that people say this all the time, to bring them to life, because they're not your words. And so in order to make them sound like they're coming from you and they're authentic and they're believable and that you have some emotion and heart in it, there is a process that I teach, and it's basically an acting muscle that, if you put in enough hours of practice, it will get easier. And it really is all about bringing you to the party, bringing your voice and your personality to the story and being able to tell a good story, no matter what. It's amazing, whether it's a commercial or it's a corporate narration, even on the phone, right? If somebody's
Absolutely.
picking up the phone, I'm talking to somebody on the other side. And so you really have to just bring yourself and your personality, because that's what the human to human connection is all about. And it's not about, it's so funny because so many people think it's about their voice. And it's such a tiny, tiny amount, your voice. It's really all about the connection and the ability to tell a story.
Absolutely. You know what's amazing? And, it doesn't matter which language we speak or which continent we stay in. When it comes to the craft, when it comes to the basics of the craft of voice acting, all of us think alike. This is exactly what, we think. And this is exactly what we talk about, that voice acting is hardly about the voice.
Yeah.
It's so much about your mind. And it's so much about how are you interpreting a script in your mind and how do you bring the words to life. And we can't say this enough, that do not be too obsessed with the resonance or with the baritone or with the sweetness of your voice, because I will only like that for that much time. Eventually giving life to what you're speaking. So absolutely, that's so well put. Another thing, Anne, which is very different between India and the United States, is the culture of voice agents. Now, that's a very, very important topic, because we do not have that culture here at all. And you have a thriving culture of voice agents. Why don't you give us a little idea about how it works there?
Okay. Well, essentially, agents are really genre specific. So, agents here are mostly for broadcast. And there's so much voiceover, as you know, that isn't necessarily just broadcast. And as we technologically become more evolved and advanced, there's more and more people that are using voice for other things than radio or television. And so agents at the time, when they were they're very popular, but even more so back, I'm going to say 20 years ago, because the voice talent were just focused on the performance of the craft, and the agents were there to help get the clients, to help negotiate the pricing. And then agents also, that's a business as well, right? So agents have to make money. That's why agents get a cut of of the money that you make. And there,
Mhm.
here there's royalties and residuals depending on if it airs in a certain place or for how long it airs. And so it became a business for
Mhm.
agents, and it still is a business. However, I would say that the voiceover world has expanded so far beyond what agents do. And so there's e-learning, there's corporate narration, there's all types of other voiceover that agents don't necessarily handle, but they definitely still do handle all the broadcast media.
So that's amazing, because we do not have that at all. And I think in times to come, I think it's only a matter of time
Mm.
before voice agents become a part of our life too, because we have a thriving industry for voice acting. And I think in due course of time, we will have a situation where the agents handle our business
Mhm.
and we take care of the performance, like it happens
Absolutely.
in the West. Absolutely. So, and with the pandemic in the last several months, how has life been? Has it impacted business there?
It's an excellent question. To be honest, for me, I've been very fortunate that I've actually been busier. I think that, the voice talent that were prepared, that had, a home studio, it
Yeah,
became, critical that they were able to produce good sound, and then they would be the ones that would be more hireable. And that almost became more important than, like,
correct.
okay, yeah, you got a great voice, but really, what's your studio like? And do you have the technology? A lot of studios here are connecting via ISDN, the higher quality connectivity like ISDN, IPDTL, and Source Connect. And so that was an additional thing that was a requirement for voice talent. And so those talent that were prepared, I think, saw an uptick. I think that businesses, as they adjusted to, there are businesses that are thriving during the pandemic, and there are businesses that are not thriving. And so
Correct.
everything evolves. My husband happens to work for he works for an AI company. And
Okay.
so technology companies, those companies are doing pretty good during the pandemic. Others, which it's sad, and I'm hoping that we get through this, like the smaller businesses are having a rough time of it. But I still believe that there is even more now a need for the connection between people, because we're all kind of here. We're in isolation, and so we all want to really communicate and talk to one another. So I think that the role of the voice artist is even more important.
Absolutely. I think the tech companies have been the busiest in the pandemic, and yeah, I get that. You're also a demo producer, and that, again, that is not a culture prevalent in our country as of now. So how does it work? So do you have is it really a mainstream vertical of the industry, demo producers? Because I do know that even for your awards, Society of Voice Arts, the Society of Voice Arts Awards, they have a category for demo producers, and there
Mhm.
are a lot of award programs there. So is it really such a big thing, and how does it work? What kind of service would someone provide as a demo producer?
So it is definitely, it is one thing here that in order to market yourself, you have to have something that you can market. And a demo is considered your marketing piece. And I think a demo can help to market you. Mostly, I like to think of the demo as something that sits on your website. So, for example, you went to my website and you were able to hear all different genres that I was voicing. And I think that's one of the main advantages of having a demo, is that it is a demonstration of your voice in different genres. And so if you're an active, voice talent that is working, full time, you may book a lot of commercials. You may book a lot of e-learning. You may book a lot of one type. This is one way to really showcase your voice and showcase your acting range in multiple genres and multiple ways. And so, yes, it is a thing that which is nice because it sits on my website, I have people who, email me and say, "Oh my gosh, I loved your voice on the Ford spot. Can I get that voice? And how much would it cost me? How much would it cost me to do this?" And so literally I've kind of skipped the audition, where it's already there on my website. They've been able to hear it. They've been able to say, "You know what? I like that voice. Let me see how much it will cost to do a 30-second commercial, or, maybe I don't know, a 6-minute corporate." And that is just a really great way to market. And that's basically how I have been able to help students market their voices, and also students that just are coming into the industry that may not have had the opportunity to get the experience, because otherwise it's difficult to showcase what your voice will sound like.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point for all of us in India, that it is critical to have your presence, to have your show reel out there, on a website, or it could be on a link or whatever. But yeah, having investing in promoting your brand is so important.
Yeah.
So what happens is, when we have someone like you from a country where this craft or this industry is far more developed and evolved, there's a lot to learn about the business practices that are adopted there. So I think, from whatever interactions I've had earlier with international voice artists, one thing I've found common is that all of them are very cued in to promote themselves, to market themselves. And many of you are brand. You are a brand. You have literally have a marketplace. It's not just a website.
Right.
People can literally go on and book a training slot. People can book a speaking slot. People can probably buy merchandise with your name. So there are so many ways in which you market your brand, and I think that's absolutely amazing, Anne.
Thank you. And I also think that a demo producer, if you're just starting out in the voiceover industry, it helps to have a demo producer that is, very well known for genres. So, for example, I'm very well known for commercial and corporate and medical, and, those and e-learning styles. And that's because it's like my specialty. And so I spend every single day researching those markets. So a demo is so much more than just, again, it's not just about your voice, but for me, the creation of a demo that really books you work, that's what I'm aiming for. It's a marketing piece. So not only is it just showcasing your voice, but it's showcasing current and relevant spots that are real and up to date. So, for example, you might have a spot that references the pandemic in some way. The contactless delivery, that sort of thing. And I don't know if anybody wants to hear, in these uncertain times again, but it's more so I want my demo production to last. And so this is a thing now, contactless, or food delivered to your door. So those are current relevant things. Healthcare is very, this is where the market is. It's in healthcare. Automotive, people need to get around because they're not really flying right now. So those are the industries that are buying. Those are the industries that I think if you have a demo, you want to showcase that you're current and that you're relevant.
Absolutely, that's such a smart point. So you keep your work updated as per the current scenario, and I think that was amazing. So these are great learnings for all of us. Anne, tell me, Anne, how aware are you about India, about the Indian entertainment market? Have you had any opportunity to watch or listen to Indian content?
Well, I was sitting here waiting to go on, and I got to see all your advertisements, which I think is great. But not so much in terms of the entertainment part of it, but more so in the other areas of voiceover, such as e-learning and corporate and that sort of thing. But yeah, I would love to know more.
You should. So we have, like I said, a thriving voice acting industry. I'm so glad that this, even though it's a virtual online meetup, but I'm so glad that we've had an interface where the Indian voice industry has seen you today and are listening to you today. And I'm really hoping that in times to come, we get many more opportunities to connect and to have an exchange of ideas and what we think about the craft. I think that's the way to go, because gradually we are becoming like you rightly said, we're becoming global voice artists.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is a lot of demand for there is a growing demand for international voice talents even
Mhm,
in India, and like
absolutely.
in the United States, there are the Indian radio stations.
Yep.
So there are desi radio stations, like they call them, and they always need Indian talent, and the same goes here. So there are a lot of companies that are coming in, and they're looking for international voice talents. My company is into audio production, and there are times when we engage with international talent. It could be American, it could be British. So
Hmm.
so I'm so glad that we're getting to meet you, to connect with you. And if someone wants to connect with you, and your Instagram handle is right there on the screen,
Hmm.
but what about the other connects, your website
Yeah,
or
anganguzza.com. I'm pretty much, if you type in Ann Ganguzza at the Google prompt, I'm all over. Facebook,
absolutely.
Instagram, all those channels where I might be talking to a potential client, and connecting with people as well. So, and then VoBoss, of course, if you all want to listen to my podcast, voboss.com, and then I
Of
have an
course.
international group, the VO Peeps. Yeah,
Lovely. That
I'm not hard to find. You
you're
found
not
me.
hard to find. Absolutely, you're not hard to find at all. Ask me about it. So one viewer has written a lovely thing. Shivangi writes, "Welcome to India, Atithi Devo Bhava." So Atithi Devo Bhava is a Sanskrit phrase. What it means is guest is God to us. So which
Aw,
embodies the spirit of hospitality in
thank
India.
you.
In fact, the Indian Tourism Department's tagline is Atithi Devo Bhava, which is, guest is God to us. Have you had an opportunity to visit India, Anne?
I have not. I have not, but I would like to
Oh
in the
my God,
future when we travel
you have no idea what
again.
you're missing out
I
on.
know, I
India
know.
is the most fascinating country. And the best part about India, when you come to India, you've actually visited many countries, because India is many countries in one
Yep,
country.
yep. Well, I would
So
love to, as soon as we can get ourselves back in the air and traveling, I would love to.
absolutely, I will take that and I will hold you on to it,
All
that you
right.
will visit India soon. Hopefully, the next India Voice Fest, when it
Mm,
happens in person, and when we get to meet in
sure.
person, rather.
Yeah, that would be
And
great.
you've been so wonderful. I can't thank you enough. You were up 6 a.m., and that's
Well,
not
no,
the time.
I had to get up at 5 to do the hair, so.
Oh my God! I should have accounted for that as
That's
well.
right.
And a lot of people are complimenting you and thanking you.
Well,
And
thank
I
you.
think a lot of questions that I had got on Instagram, on my DM, I put that out to you. Most people were interested in knowing about the things that we spoke about. And well, there is no end to this conversation, because both of us are voice artists, and we can go on talking about the craft, which
Oh,
is so dear to us. And but I will not hold you for long, because it's already morning, and I hope you have a lovely day ahead.
I
And
do, thank you.
thank you, Anne, for doing this for us. And on behalf of India Voice Fest, and on behalf of the entire voice acting community in India, thank you. And I really hope that we meet up sometime soon.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor. And thank you, everybody. I'm looking at the comments. You guys, thank you so much. And it's just been a pleasure.
Lovely. Thank you. And you have a great day ahead. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. That was Anne Ganguzza, such a wonderful, charming, absolutely amazing lady. And she is one of the top voice talents in the United States. And इनका बड़ा बड़प्पन था कि बड़ी आसानी से मान गई है। और मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा जब मैंने इनको ईमेल किया और आई कनेक्टेड विद हर, मैंने बताया कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं। और आई थिंक ये जो ऑनलाइन इवेंट है, इसकी सबसे बड़ी खूबी ये है कि अब सब कोई भी हमारी पहुंच से बाहर नहीं है। तो इस बार आई थिंक इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट की एक खासियत ये भी थी कि एक नहीं बल्कि 2 अंतर्राष्ट्रीय वॉइस स्टार्स हमारे साथ मिले और हमसे बातें की। और देखिए कितनी कमाल की बात है, इतनी बड़ी वॉइस आर्टिस्ट हैं, पर इन्होंने भी वही बताया जो हम बात करते हैं, जो हमारे यहाँ के दिग्गज बात करते हैं, कि अपना काम निष्ठा के साथ करिए, कमिटमेंट के साथ करिए, और अपने काम में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और खुद को मार्केट कीजिए। ये मार्केटिंग वाली बात मुझे बड़ी कमाल की लगी, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ पर मैं देखता हूँ कि कई वॉइस आर्टिस्ट आज भी, हम जब सैंपल मांगते हैं तो हम ढूंढते रहते हैं कि सैंपल कहाँ है, सैंपल कहाँ है। तो या फिर कोई, किसी के पास यूट्यूब में कोई सैंपल पड़ा है, किसी के पास कोई ईमेल में कहीं कुछ पड़ा है। आई थिंक अगर हमको लॉन्ग टर्म में, लंबी रेस का घोड़ा जो कहते हैं, इफ वी वांट टू बी अ लॉन्ग टर्म प्लेयर इन द वॉइस इंडस्ट्री, किसी भी बिजनेस की तरह बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आप उस बिजनेस में इन्वेस्ट करें। और यहां पर आपके बिजनेस का नाम है आप खुद। यू आर योर बिजनेस, एंड इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट that you invest in your business, that you market your business, market your brand. And that's exactly what Anne Ganguzza said. Market yourself, work on your craft, show commitment, show passion. वहां पर उनको शायद सुबह 5 बजे उठना पड़ा था। मुझे नहीं लगता हम में से बहुत लोग किसी इंटरव्यू के लिए सुबह 5 बजे उठेंगे। तो ये उनका बड़प्पन था, एंड थैंक यू सो मच एन फॉर दैट। चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। आज का दिन खत्म नहीं हुआ है, क्योंकि एक बड़ा प्यारा सा सेगमेंट अभी बाकी है, और उस सेगमेंट का नाम है मेरी आवाज सुनो। जी हाँ, मेरी आवाज सुनो के बारे में तो आप जानते हैं, ये वो एक प्यारा सा सेगमेंट है इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट 2020 में, जहां पर हम कुछ नामी गिरामी वॉइस आर्टिस्ट को फीचर करते हैं। शाम को हमने आपके सामने प्रेजेंट किया था पवन कालरा को, और अब हम प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं उन्हीं की पार्टनर, उन्हीं के परिवार से, उन्हीं की जोड़ीदार अरन्या कौर को। अरन्या एक बहुत ही पॉपुलर वॉइस आर्टिस्ट हैं, सिंगर हैं, एक्टर हैं, और इंडस्ट्री में बहुत नाम है उनका। और हमने अरन्या के साथ बातें की उनके करियर के बारे में, उनके विचारों के बारे में। आइए आप भी मिलिए अरन्या कौर से।
Hi, my name is Aranya Kaur. I'm a voiceover and dubbing artist. There are too many to name, honestly, and but there are a couple of projects which I have really enjoyed. One is Emily in Paris. I have given my voice for Emily. It's been so much fun, giving my voice for Emily. उसके छोटे छोटे मैनरिज्म्स को कैच करना, द वे शी वाज मूविंग हर लिप्स, द वे शी वाज गिविंग एक्सप्रेशंस एंड ऑल, ओ गॉड, मतलब मैचिंग दोज एक्सप्रेशंस एंड यू आर एक्चुअली परफॉर्मिंग फॉर हर. There is another project which I would love to name. There is this project called Lucifer, Netflix की series है, and I have given my voice for Maze. And when I dubbed her for the first time, I immediately fell in love with that character. So yeah, that's been another project which I have loved, voicing for like this character called Maze. One is that you have to have a good command on your reading skills, because when you have to read a paragraph and you have to perform, so you need to have good reading skills and of course command on language, which is very very important. एक आर्टिस्ट की लैंग्वेज का क्लैरिटी होना बहुत जरूरी है, चाहे वो हिंदी हो, चाहे वो इंग्लिश हो, चाहे वो कोई और लैंग्वेज हो. जिस इंस्टीट्यूशन से मैंने शुरुआत की, इट हैज बीन साउंड एंड विजन इंडिया, एंड आई हैव लर्नड अ लॉट फ्रॉम लीला जी, फ्रॉम मोना. आई हैव सीन हर मूवीज. मैं उनकी मूवीज जब देखती हूँ, मोना की जब भी मैंने मूवीज देखी हैं, आई हैव लव्ड जिस तरीके से वो मैनरिज्म पकड़ती हैं एक्टर्स का. इट्स रियली अमेजिंग. There are too many to name, but there are few जो मेरे लिए इंस्पिरेशन रहे हैं, like अंजू दी, पिंकी दी. They've really supported me when I just started my career as a voiceover artist. मैंने उनसे बहुत कुछ सीखा है. Then Pavan is there. He's been there throughout my journey as a voiceover artist. जब मैंने शुरुआत ही की थी, उसने बहुत छोटे छोटे टिप्स मुझे दिए कि लैंग्वेज में कमांड कैसी होनी चाहिए, आपका वॉइस थ्रो कैसा होना चाहिए, आपकी वॉइस कैसी होनी चाहिए उस पर्टिकुलर कैरेक्टर के लिए. Then पंकज कालरा, oh God, he is a mind-blowing artist. Then विराज, मैंने विराज के अगेंस्ट कई ऐसी मूवीज डब की हैं जिसमें विराज की वॉइस के अगेंस्ट मेरी वॉइस है. सो when you जब सामने वाला बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म करता है, then you also perform accordingly. It has to be from both the sides. So yeah, the journey has been amazing, and they have all been my inspiration in this journey of me as a voiceover artist. So too many to name, but ये कुछ हैं जिनके साथ मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा है. India Voice Fest, yeah, it's a beautiful platform. It's an amazing platform, not for just an aspiring artist, also for the existing artist. उनके लिए it's a beautiful platform. It's a big platform, I would say, because यहाँ पर हमारे मेंटोर्स आते हैं, यहाँ पर हमारे अवार्ड फंक्शन होते हैं, यहाँ पर वी गेट टू मीट सो मेनी पीपल जिनके बारे में हम शायद जानते भी नहीं होंगे. फॉर अ न्यू कमर, इट्स एन अमेजिंग प्लेटफॉर्म, क्योंकि दे गेट टू मीट with the old artists, with the seniors, जो हमारे stalwarts रहे हैं हमारी industry के. So it is a beautiful attempt which Darrpan and Kiran they have taken, and I think ऐसे फेस्ट और हों ताकि और रिकग्निशन मिले हमारी वॉइसिंग फील्ड को, हमारी डबिंग इंडस्ट्री को. यू नो व्हेन आई केम टू मुंबई, मेरे लिए डबिंग वर्ड वाज अ न्यू वर्ड फॉर मी, एंड आई एम बीइंग वेरी ऑनेस्ट. डबिंग का डी भी मुझे नहीं पता था, एंड व्हेन आई फर्स्ट गॉट टू नो अबाउट डबिंग, आई सेड ओके, दिस हैज टू डू समथिंग विद वॉइस व्हिच पीपल टोल्ड मी. आई नेवर न्यू अबाउट इट. I was completely into singing when I was in Delhi. So shifting to Mumbai and getting to know about this field, I just knew one thing, that there is something, some field जिसमें आप, जब मैं ads सुनती थी बचपन में कि ये ads की voices हैं, ये क्या काम होता है, इसको क्या कहते हैं. And of late इस तरह के प्लेटफॉर्म से और एक्सपोजर मिल रहा है लोगों को, एक आर्टिस्ट को बहुत एक्सपोजर मिल रहा है. आई वुड से ऐसा कुछ होना चाहिए जिसमें हम टेलीविजन पर भी इस चीज को टेलीकास्ट करवा सकें या ब्रॉडकास्ट कर सकें, सो दैट पीपल नो अबाउट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वॉइसिंग एंड डबिंग इंडस्ट्री इज ऑल अबाउट. सो इट इज एन अमेजिंग प्लेटफॉर्म, एंड मोर पावर टू इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट. ऐसे और शोज होने चाहिए, ऐसे और प्रोग्राम्स होने चाहिए.
बिल्कुल, अरण्या कौर ने बिल्कुल सही बात कही कि ऐसे और बहुत सारे मंच होने चाहिए, और मैं आप सबको इनकरेज करूंगा कि प्लीज साथ में आइए और आगे बढ़िए और ऐसे और मंच क्रिएट कीजिए, ऐसे बहुत सारे प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट कीजिए. जो हम कर रहे हैं, आई एम श्योर हम और बहुत लोग कर सकते हैं, और ये वॉइस इंडस्ट्री के लिए बहुत बढ़िया होगा. तो ये था मेरी आवाज़ ही पहचान है, जिसमें हम मिले अरण्या कौर से. आइए अब बात करते हैं एसोसिएशन ऑफ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट की. देखिए, मैं हर रोज शायद 2 या 3 बार बात करता ही हूँ, क्योंकि ये एसोसिएशन मेरी है और मैं इस एसोसिएशन का हूँ. जिस तरह से ये एसोसिएशन आपकी है, हम सब मिलकर ही एसोसिएशन ऑफ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट बनाते हैं. ये कोई प्राइवेट एसोसिएशन तो है नहीं. दिस एसोसिएशन इज फॉर द इंडस्ट्री, बाय द इंडस्ट्री, ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री. तो शाम को भी आदित्य और अनिका के सेशन में काफी बात हुई दैट यू शुड बिकम अ मेंबर ऑफ द एसोसिएशन ऑफ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट, because they will have your back. It's like having an elder person in your family who will always have your back, जो हमेशा आपका ख्याल रखेंगे. आइए गणेश दिवेकर, जो प्रेसिडेंट है एसोसिएशन ऑफ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट के, उनका ये संदेश सुनते हैं. और इसमें आवा का कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर भी लिखा हुआ है. तो आप में से कई लोगों ने पूछा था चैट पर कि आवा को कॉन्टैक्ट कैसे किया जाए. आप उनकी साइट पर भी जा सकते हैं, या फिर आप इस मैसेज में, वीडियो मैसेज में आवा का कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर है, वो लिख लीजिए, या इस वीडियो खत्म होने के बाद वीडियो में देख लीजिएगा. आइए.
हाय, नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं गणेश दिवेकर एंड वेलकम टू द इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट. मैं आपको ये बताने आया हूं कि एज अ प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ द एसोसिएशन ऑफ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ऑल द पीपल हु हैव बिकम मेंबर्स ऑफ द एसोसिएशन ऑफ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट. और उन लोगों को भी बहुत बहुत थैंक यू जिन्होंने अपनी नॉर्मल मेंबरशिप को लाइफ मेंबरशिप में कन्वर्ट किया. हम लोगों ने आवा फाउंडेशन डे पे कुछ डिस्काउंट ऑफर्स लॉन्च किए थे जिनको मेंबर्स बनना था उनके लिए. लेकिन ये लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में हमको बहुत सारे मैसेजेस और फोन्स आए कि बिकॉज ऑफ द लॉकडाउन वी वरंट एबल टू बिकम द मेंबर. तो उन सब के लिए हमने ये जो ऑफर की जो स्कीम है वो 31 जैन तक एक्सटेंड कर दी है. तो आप या तो 31 जैन के पहले या 31 जैन को मेंबर बन के उन सारे डिस्काउंट ऑफर्स का लाभ उठा सकते हैं. पहली बात. दूसरी बात यह है कि अगर आप आवा के मेंबर बनते हैं तो हमारे जो इवेंट्स ऑर्गेनाइज होंगे, हम लोग जो आपके लिए बाकी सारी चीजें कर रहे हैं, जैसे मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस, आवा रिलीफ फंड, उसके साथ साथ डीपीएल हम लोग ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं. ये जो सारी चीजें हैं उनमें आप शामिल हो सकते हैं. नंबर 1. नंबर 2 ये भी है कि एक फैमिली होने के नाते एक यूनिटी बनेगी, और जो लोग हमें एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे हैं, जिन लोगों को भी एक्सप्लॉइट किया जा रहा है, उनका हम लोग मुंह तोड़ जवाब दे सकते हैं. तो कम टू आवा, become a family and let's strengthen our voicing fraternity. ठीक है, तो become a member, become a family member of AWA as soon as possible. Thank you.
हाँ जी, आई होप आपने आवा का कॉन्टैक्ट नंबर ले लिया है. और आज बड़ा मजा आया. डे 5, इट वॉज एन एब्सोल्युटली अमेजिंग डे. हमने शुरुआत की शाम को, शुरुआत किससे की मैं भूल गया, सॉरी, थोड़ा सा मैं वो हो गया, मैं भूल गया कि शुरुआत किससे की. शुरुआत हमने की अनगा और आदित्य के साथ एक बहुत खूबसूरत सेशन में, लेट्स टॉक बिजनेस. उसके बाद प्राची मायकर ने तो आके कमाल कर दिया, हम सबको मंत्र मुक्त कर दिया विद लव, लिव, लव एंड लाफ. और उसके बाद डब शॉप गपशप, यार वो ऐसा सेशन हो गया कि खत्म करने का मन ही नहीं कर रहा था। मुझे बड़ा बुरा लग रहा था कि मुझे आकर उन्हें कहना पड़ा कि अब सेशन खत्म करते हैं। और एन गैंगूजा, अवार्ड विनिंग अमेरिकन वॉइस आर्टिस्ट के साथ मुलाकात हुई, उनके थॉट्स सुने, उनके विचार सुने, वहां की इंडस्ट्री के बारे में जाना, कुछ टिप्स हमने लिए, कुछ उनको हमारे बारे में बताया। बड़ा मजा आया। आई थिंक इस तरह से शाम बड़ी खूबसूरती से कटी है। और कल होने वाला है डे 6, क्योंकि कल शाम को बड़े कमाल के सेशंस हैं। कल शाम को संकेत महात्रे, हम सब के पसंदीदा संकेत महात्रे और दिव्या आचार्य, जो बहुत नामी वॉइस डायरेक्टर हैं, डबिंग डायरेक्टर हैं, वो आएंगे एक सेशन लेकर जिसका नाम है फन विद फनकार्स। ये होगा शाम को 5 बजे। 6 बजे बड़ा ही अनोखा सेशन अगेन, चलो लिखें गाएं, जहां पर सुनैना सरकार और मयूर पुरी के साथ एक सेशन है जिसे मॉडरेट करेंगे राहुल सेठ। ये सेशन होगा डबिंग कंटेंट के लिए लिखने और गाने के ऊपर। ये बड़ा ही कमाल का, बड़ा अनोखा सेशन है, आप इसको अटेंड कीजिएगा, बड़ा मजा आएगा आपको। और 7 बजे ऑन एयर विद टीवी चैनल वॉइस स्टार्स, ये जो टेलीविजन चैनल के वॉइस ओवर्स करते हैं, हम में से कई लोग, हमारे साथ एक मुलाकात, हमारे साथ गप्पेबाजी होगी। और रात को 8 बजे सिट डाउन एंड लाफ विद प्रिया रैना। प्रिया रैना जो बहुत ही मशहूर स्टैंड अप कॉमिक, एक्टर, सिंगर, वॉइस आर्टिस्ट हैं, उनके साथ एक सेशन होगा। तो बड़ा मजा आने वाला है। आज बहुत मजा आया। और जाते जाते अगर आप इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट को सपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं, अपना प्यार दिखाना चाहते हैं, तो एक और जरिया आपके पास है बिसाइड्स अटेंडिंग द इवेंट्स, इज बाइंग द मर्चेंडाइज। indiavoicefest.com पर जाकर आप इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट की ये बहुत ही खूबसूरत डायरी खरीद सकते हैं, या फिर आप चाहें तो ये मग ले सकते हैं। ये मग भी बहुत खूबसूरत है, इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट का एक्सक्लूसिव मग है, डायरी है। या फिर ये कोस्टर्स का सेट ले सकते हैं। दीज कोस्टर्स आर लवली, और हर कोस्टर पे वॉइस एक्टिंग से रिलेटेड एक कोट लिखा हुआ है। एक पर लिखा है योर वॉइस इज माई फेवरेट साउंड। एक पर लिखा है वॉइस इज द ऑर्गन ऑफ आवर सोल। एक पर लिखा है मेरी आवाज ही पहचान है, जो हम सबके लिए सही बैठता है। और एक पर लिखा है स्पीच इज द वॉइस ऑफ द हार्ट। ये बहुत खूबसूरत कोस्टर्स का सेट है। आप चाहें तो इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, हमारी साइट पर जाकर ये मर्चेंडाइज ऑर्डर कर सकते हैं। अभी के लिए मुझे दीजिए इजाजत। कल मिलेंगे शाम को एक और गजब की इवनिंग में, एक और गजब का जश्न मनाएंगे। इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट 2020 का ये 7 दिन का जश्न अपने परचम पर, अपने चरम पर पहुंचने वाला है परसों, जो है 12 तारीख, जब शाम को 5 बजे से लेकर इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट आराम होगी। और उसके साथ ही कुछ और भी धमाका होने वाला है। क्या होने वाला है वो आपको कल बताएंगे। पर इस वक्त मुझे दीजिए इजाजत। हैव अ गुड नाइट। सोइए, आराम कीजिए, क्योंकि कल जागना है, काम करना है, और शाम को फिर से हमको मिलना है इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट 2020 में। टिल टुमारो इवनिंग, गुड बाय, टेक केयर एंड ऑल द बेस्ट फ्रॉम द इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट टीम।